I mean, give me a more specific example of what this kind of biodiversity ecosystem planning is in an ordinary city.
Okay, well, we are very strong advocates of ecosystem-based planning. We see it as cost-effective, it's sustainable, and it also generates multiple co-benefits as well. And ecosystem-based planning is using biodiversity, using natural solutions, using ecosystems to help vulnerable communities adapt and address the impacts of climate change. It's about engendering cities with greater resilience.
Right.
So that they
give me a concrete example of the kind of
Okay.
thing. Are we talking roads? Are we talking lighting? Are we
Yeah.
talking municipal planning? Or what exactly are we discussing here?
I mean, the examples are numerous. In a lot of cities nowadays, particularly our member cities, they are investing heavily in green infrastructure, so urban forests, urban vegetation. If I may recall a case study from, I think, 1995, there was a terrible heat wave which struck the city of Chicago, leaving, I think, about 600 people dead. Now, that was obviously a very tragic episode. But one of the few positive outcomes was a study conducted in the following years which revealed that the areas or the neighborhoods within Chicago which incurred the highest mortality rates were the same areas which had the least vegetation, the least green infrastructure. So that's pretty compelling evidence that green infrastructure in urban areas is exerting and inducing a sort of cooling effect, if you like.
And so basically we need more parks, we need more trees, we need more greenery in our city centres.
Yes, and here I have just mentioned the benefits of green infrastructure mitigating the urban heat island effect, which is the excessive buildup of temperatures in comparison to the surrounding hinterland. But there are multiple co-benefits, which makes ecosystem-based approaches really, really attractive. For example, if you build green spaces and provide for green spaces in cities, you also drastically increase the city's absorption capacity. And that can absorb a great deal of excess water during and after periods of heavy rainfall and thereby avert costly flooding. And these measures, they don't just help cities to build resilience, but they result in economic savings. They save energy, they save costly flood damage.
I mean, it seems to be an easy argument in a way. There doesn't seem to be any contradiction, yet there are still many cities in the world which don't have enough green spaces, which don't have enough trees planted. I mean,
Sure.
is the message getting through? I mean, is it getting through fast enough?
Look, there's several problems here. One is of governance, another is of short-termism, another of greed, and of course the pervasive problem of intergenerational inequity. And look, we're in sub-Saharan Africa. Here, the rate of urbanization is greater than anywhere else in the world, 4% per year. Now, I bet my bottom dollar that the explosive urban growth which will occur, which is projected to occur over the next 50 years or so, is going to be in the form of informal settlements. We're talking about shanty towns or favelas. Now, as much as we as urban planners and architects and mayors and decision makers and policy makers like to preach best practices, we really need to empower people, because it's the poor people that are going to be the architects of those areas of urban growth. And so we need to empower people with the right tools, with the right education and understanding of, for example, ecosystem services and the value of nature, the value of natural capital, so that they can be empowered to develop sustainable growth patterns themselves.
Can that be done? Because presumably if you've just moved into a shanty town, your main priority is to get your house up and to earn enough to eat for that particular day. I imagine that planting trees and parks in a shanty town come pretty low down the priority list. How do you counteract that?
That's true. That's a tricky one, in fact. But we are developing a number of tools. One of our initiatives is called LAB, which stands for Local Action for Biodiversity. And LAB comprises a network of cities around the world which undertake a series of steps towards international environmental leadership, towards implementing ecosystem-based planning measures at the local level. And one of the components of this project has a strong focus on what we call SEPA, communication, education, and public awareness. And this is all about engaging local community groups to empower them with greater understanding of the value of nature and thereby compelling them to conserve it.
Just finally, you're based in Cape Town,
Yes.
which I understand is, I've never been, but I understand is a very green city. I mean, what are the model cities? I mean, the cities that you visited, who should we be emulating?
Well, every city has its own specific context, and to compare cities can be unfair. Some are given, some inherit head starts. Others are historically disadvantaged, be it through a legacy of environmental degradation or inadequate funds. But I mean, some of the cities we work with, well, let me explain. The city of Cape Town is a great example. Cape Town's a biodiversity hotspot. It's in the fynbos plant kingdom. They also have a range of broad, really pressing social issues to tackle. So there we really see the interface between humans and nature. And Cape Town is actually very, very advanced in developing tools and implementing policies designed to reconcile urban development with nature conservation. So actually, Cape Town is right up there amongst the world leaders.